Bonjour, les étudiants of class 10. Hope you're doing good. So the last class we finished the composition of lesson 2, right? Okay, la rédaction de la lettre and aussi le dialogue and also the dialogue. So today we'll be starting a new lesson. Okay, the lesson 3. We call it as Felicitations. Oui, Felicitations, which means congratulations. We got the same 10 exercises, 3 composition, 2 dialogues, and 5 questions. Okay, so we'll get to the slides, and today's exercise we'll be just doing the exercises of passé composé with passé composé, the first 3 exercises. Okay, nothing much. Then we'll go for the other things. Okay, we got imparfait and COE, complément, objet indirect. So the indirect pronouns. So we'll be doing imparfait the next session and COE the other thing. Okay, so let's get into the slides. And so here, okay, so lesson 3, Félicitations, felicitations or congratulations. Okay, Félicitations. Okay, so here, okay, so these are the grammar we'll be saying in this lesson. Okay, le passé composé, l'imparfait and the COE. Okay, complément, objet indirect. So le passé composé, we have seen it so many times. Okay, so from 8th standard. So anyway, we'll give a small revision again. Okay, even in first lesson we saw, I think. Okay, le passé composé exprime une action achevée dans le passé. Il se forme avec l'auxiliaire avoir ou être au présent de l'indicatif plus participe passé du verbe. Okay, so the passé composé, it's actually a tense, okay, which is used to express an action which happened in the past. And the formation, it's actually with avoir or être. We use avoir or être as an auxiliary, okay, as an auxiliary verb. And so you'll be conjugating the verb avoir or être, depends on the verb that you're going to use. In present tense, plus the past participle of the verb. Okay, for each and every verb you must know the past participle. And here we got an example. So with avoir, avec avoir, j'ai parlé aux étudiants. So you can see when you want to conjugate a verb with avoir, okay, you'll be conjugating the verb avoir, then you add the past participle. For example, parler, j'ai parlé. Elle a pris le petit déjeuner. So pris, it's actually the verb prendre, the past participle of the verb prendre. So elle a pris le petit déjeuner. Okay, and the third one, it's vous avez fini le projet le mois dernier. So vous avez fini, it's actually the past participle of the verb finir. Okay, you have finished, she has taken, I have spoken. Okay, or I spoke, she took, you finished. Okay? So here I have conjugated 2 verbs. Okay, the verb visiter and faire. So this is how we conjugate. We conjugate the verb avoir, then we'll be adding the past participle. Okay, we'll be adding the past participle. For to find the past participle of an er ending verb, it's quite simple. You just cut r and then add an accent over the e. Okay, so you got the past participle. For the verbs like faire, avoir, être, and the list of irregular verbs, you don't have a choice. You got to memorize, you got to remember the past participles. Okay, for example, the verb faire, the past participle is fait, f-a-i-t. So here, and the second auxiliary, it's actually the verb être. So the verb être will be used as an auxiliary for some verbs. Okay, hope you remember Dr. Mrs. Van der Trumps. So those verbs, for those verbs alone, we'll be using être. So here, for example, elle est partie pour Paris. So partie, it's actually the past participle of the verb partir. So ils sont rentrés. So rentrer, it's an er ending verb, so it's fine. Nous sommes descendus. Okay, descendu, it's a past participle of the verb descendre. And when you're conjugating with être, so keep in mind you go to do that accord. Okay, l'accord, which means the agreement to the subject. Okay, so if the subject it's masculine, you leave it as it is. If it's feminine, you add an e. If it's plural, you add an s. Okay, and the verbs which to be conjugated with être are they are given in the second paragraph here. entrer, sortir, arriver, aller, venir, rentrer, descendre, monter, tomber, naître, mourir, devenir, passer par ou rester, and also the pronominal verbs. Okay, and also the pronominal verbs. You can memorize Dr. Mrs. Van der Trumps, which will be easy to remember. Oui? Alors. So here, for example, we have conjugated the verb aller and se lever. Okay, you can see the verb aller, the violet ones. Okay, so we got both masculine and feminine. Okay, so when you want to practice both masculine, feminine, singular, plural. So for vous form, vous êtes allé, you can see 4 types of aller in that sentence. So it's actually masculine singular, masculine plural, feminine singular, feminine plural. Okay, so careful with this. Okay, even if you miss that E or miss that S, okay, it's wrong. Okay. So here we go to the first exercise. So the first exercise, it's mettez les verbes au passé composé, suivez le modèle. Okay, so conjugate the verbs in past tense, passé composé, and follow the model. They have given a small example. You can see example, le maître, écrire au tableau. Okay, so le maître, it's actually the subject. Le maître, which means the teacher. Okay, the teacher. So and then in the bracket they have given a verb in infinitive form. Okay, it is not conjugated, and then followed by an object. Okay, followed by an object. So le maître, écrire au tableau. Okay, it has to be conjugated in passé composé. So as you know, you got to find the verb first, then you got to find the past participle, then you got to check with the Dr. Mrs. Van der Trump's list. Okay, then you got to decide if to be conjugated with avoir or être. Okay, so there are certain things to follow. So let's see the example. Le maître a écrit au tableau. So as I told you, the first thing is you got to find the verb. Okay, here I have highlighted with yellow and red. Okay, but in when you got an exam, you won't be having this thing. Okay, you got to know which one is the verb, right? So écrire is the verb. So then what you have to do, you got to find the past participle. Okay, so for the verb écrire, écrit is the past participle, ECRIT is the past participle. Then what you got to do is you got to check with the list of Dr. Mrs. Van der Trumps. So Dr. Mrs. Van der Trumps. So this starts with E, right? Okay, so with E, what all verbs starts with E in Dr. Mrs. Van der Trumps? Okay, we got, I think, only one verb. It's entrer. Okay, entrer we conjugate, okay, with être, and écrire, it's not in the list. Okay, so we got to conjugate with avoir, with the auxiliary avoir. So le maître a écrit au tableau. Okay, the teacher wrote in the board. Okay, au tableau, in the board. So now we got 5 sentences. Okay, Sumana déjeuner en ville. So now we got the verb déjeuner. Okay, so the past participle, it's easy to find. It's an ER ending verb. So what you do, you cut R, add an accent over the E. Okay, so Sumana. So déjeuner, you got to check with Dr. Mrs. Van der Trump's list. Okay, so with D, you got 2 verbs. Okay, with D, you got 2 verbs in Dr. Mrs. Van der Trump's, and those are like devenir and descendre. Devenir and descendre, not déjeuner. Right? So what you got to do, you got to choose avoir. Sumana a déjeuné en ville. Okay, so Sumana, we take it for the third person feminine singular form. So we conjugate the verb avoir for elle, E-L-L-E. So Sumana a déjeuné, okay, en ville. In the next slide, we'll see the answers. Okay, so the second one, les élèves apprendre le vocabulaire et la conjugaison. So apprendre, which means to learn, and so the past participle, it's appris. Okay, appris, A-P-P-R-I-S. Okay, same way like prendre, prendre, comprendre, apprendre. Okay, so this is appris. So apprendre le vocabulaire et la conjugaison. So learn the vocabulary and the conjugation. So now we got to now we got the past participle, appris, A-P-P-R-I-S. Now we got to check with Dr. Mrs. Van der Trumps. Okay, what all verbs you got with A? Okay, we got aller and arriver. Okay, we got aller and arriver, not apprendre. So apprendre will be conjugated with avoir. Right? Les élèves. Now we got to check the subject. Les élèves, it's third person plural. Okay, third person plural. So the verb avoir will be conjugated as ont, O-N-T. Okay, les élèves ont appris le vocabulaire et la conjugaison. So the third one, vous envoyez un email au directeur. Envoyer, it's actually the verb to send an email au directeur, an email to the director. So the verb envoyer, you can see it's an ER ending verb. Okay, you cut R, add an accent over the E. So you got the past participle. You check with the Dr. Mrs. Van der Tramp's list. Okay, we got one E which is entrée, not envoyer. So will be conjugated with avoir. For vous, the subject vous, how do you conjugate the verb avoir? Vous avez envoyé un email au directeur. Okay, so the last before one, les étudiants obtenir les résultats des examens. Okay, obtenir to obtain. Okay, obtenir to obtain the results of the exam. So the past participle of obtenir, it's obtenu. Okay, obtenu, O-B-T-E-N-U. Okay, like tenir. Okay, so it's ENIR ending verbs. Okay, like venir, obtenir, revenir, and so on. So obtenu, it's a past participle, O-B-T-E-N-U. Okay, so you can check with Dr. Mrs. Van der Tramp. So what all verbs you start with O? Okay, Dr. Mrs. Van der Tramp, we don't have any verbs that starts with O, right? Okay, so we'll be like conjugating with our word. Les étudiants, it's third person plural, right? So we conjugate ONT, we write ONT for our word. Les étudiants ont obtenu les résultats des examens. So the students obtained the exam results. Okay, got the exam results. So the last one, nous ouvrir les cadeaux. Ouvrir, which is to open. Ouvrir, to open. Les cadeaux means the gifts. So ouvrir, so same way, the past participle, it's O-U-V-E-R-T. Okay, so you got to keep in mind this past participle, O-U-V-E-R-T, ouvert. Nous avons ouvert les cadeaux. Okay, so ouvrir we conjugate with avoir, not with être. So as you saw, Dr. Mrs. Van der Tramp doesn't have any verbs with O. Okay, nous avons ouvert les cadeaux. Okay, so now we'll see the answers. So here, Sumana a déjeuné en ville. Les élèves ont appris le vocabulaire et la conjugaison. Vous avez envoyé un email au directeur. Les étudiants ont obtenu les résultats des examens. Nous avons ouvert les cadeaux. C'est bon? So we'll move to the next exercise, the second exercise. Fully. Here. Okay, the same kind of exercise. Okay, we got to conjugate the verbs in passé composé. But here in this exercise, the verbs are already conjugated in present tense. Okay, you can see the verbs which are in red. They are already conjugated in present tense. So which means you got to find the infinitive form, then the past participle, then you got to check the auxiliary. Right? So mettez les verbes, phrase suivante au passé composé. So tu regardes un film à la télé. Okay, you watch a movie in the television. So regard, it's a quite familiar verb. It's an ER ending verb. Regarder, to see, to watch, to look. So the past participle is regarder, R-E-G-A-R-D-E accent. Okay, so you got to check with the Dr. Mrs. Van der Tramp's list. Okay, the verbs, it starts with R. Okay, so we got not bad verbs with R. So revenir, retourner, okay, rentrer, revenir, retourner, rentrer. So that's it. Okay, so we don't have regarder, so we'll be conjugating with avoir. Okay, tu as regardé un film à la télé. You watched a movie in the television. Okay, so we are converting, we are changing from present tense to past tense. Vous achetez le journal aujourd'hui. So again we got an ER ending verb. It is the verb acheter, to buy. You are buying the newspaper today. Okay, you buy the newspaper of today, something. Okay, so acheter, you cut R, add an accent, you got the past participle. And the verbs which starts with A in the Dr. Mrs. Van der Tram's list, it's aller and arriver. Okay, so not acheter. So we conjugate with avoir. Vous avez acheté le journal d'aujourd'hui. So you bought today's newspaper. Okay. So the third one, vous choisissez les plats. Okay, you choose, you select. Okay, you choose the dishes. Choisissez, it's actually the verb choisir. Okay, choisir in infinitive form, it's an IR ending verb, a regular IR ending verb. So if you got a regular IR ending verb, what you do, you just cut R and you got the past participle. CHOISI, choisi. Choisi, it's the past participle of choisir. Okay, in present tense, it's a bit different. Okay, it's a bit difficult. So the endings ISSEZ. Okay, the endings are, so revise when you got time. So the verbs starts with C, and if you check with Dr. Mrs. Van der Tram's, I don't think there is any verb which starts with C. Okay, so we conjugate it with avoir. Vous avez choisi les plats. You have chosen the dishes. Il quitte son village natal. Okay, il quitte, he quits. Okay, he leaves his native village. So quitter, the verb, it's an ER ending verb. You cut R, add an accent. Okay, il a quitté. Okay, it starts with Q. We don't have any verbs with Q in Dr. Mrs. Van der Tram's. Okay, il a quitté son village natal. Okay, he has left his native village. And the last one, ils ouvrent un bistrot dans ce quartier. Okay, so they open a bistro. It means a cafe like. Okay, in this area. Okay. So ouvre, it's actually the verb ouvrir. In the previous exercise we saw, you remember? So you got to remember the past participle, ouvert, O-U-V-E-R-T. And don't get confused, even the verb ouvrir ends with IR. Okay, but it's not a regular IR ending verb. We don't cut R, and ouvrir, it's not the past participle. Okay, ouvert, it's the past participle, O-U-V-E-R-T. So ils ont ouvert. Okay, ils ont, O-N-T, ouvert un bistrot dans ce quartier. Okay, they have opened a restaurant, a pub, a small cafe like in this area. Okay. So now we'll see the answers. Sure. Tu as regardé un film à la télé. Vous avez acheté le journal d'aujourd'hui. Vous avez choisi les plats. Il a quitté son village natal. Ils ont ouvert un bistrot dans ce quartier. So heading to the third exercise. Okay, it's actually the same. Okay, it's actually the same. Faites des phrases en mettant les verbes au passé composé. Exemple, mon ami / recevoir le faire-part de mariage. Okay, so le faire-part, which means invitation of the marriage. Recevoir, it means to receive. Mon ami a reçu le faire-part de mariage. So nothing much. You got to just conjugate the verb, which is an infinitive form, in passé composé. Les amis. So féliciter, it's an ER ending verb. Okay, les amis ont félicité les jeunes mariés. Les amis ont félicité les jeunes mariés. Okay, so the friends, okay, felicitated, congratulated the young couple. Les amis, it's third person plural, it's ONT. So second one, il demandait de téléphoner avant 8 heures. He asked to telephone. He asked to make a call before 8 o'clock. Okay, that's how you got to make it. Il a demandé. Il a demandé. It's an ER ending verb. You cut R, add an accent. With D, you just got two verbs in Dr. Mrs. Van der Tram's, devenir and descendre, not demander. So we conjugate with avoir. Il a demandé de téléphoner avant 8 heures. So third one, mes parents être très contents de ma réussite à l'examen. So être, it's actually, even the verb être will be conjugated with avoir in passé composé. Okay, but the past participle, it's été, E accent, TE accent, accent aigu, acute accent, right to left. So mes parents, so third person plural, mes parents ont été très contents de ma réussite à l'examen. So my parents were very happy about my success in the exam. So the fourth one, ma mère fermer les fenêtres à 6 heures du soir. So fermer is the verb, so we conjugate with avoir. So ma mère, third person feminine singular. Ma mère a fermé les fenêtres à 6 heures du soir. Okay, so my mom closed the windows at 6 p.m. So the last one, tu obtenir une bourse pour faire des études supérieures à Paris. Une bourse, which means a scholarship. Okay, une bourse, which means a scholarship. To obtain a scholarship to do the higher studies in Paris. Okay, des études supérieures à Paris, which means higher studies in Paris. So the verb obtenir we already saw. The past participle, it's obtenu. Okay, obtenu. Tu as obtenu une bourse pour faire des études supérieures à Paris. Okay, you obtained a scholarship to do your higher studies in Paris. Now we'll see the answers. Here we go. Les amis ont félicité les jeunes mariés. Il a demandé de téléphoner avant 8 heures. Mes parents ont été très contents de ma réussite à l'examen. Ma mère a fermé les fenêtres à 6 heures du soir. Tu as obtenu une bourse pour faire des études supérieures à Paris. So the fourth exercise, we'll stop with this exercise today. The fourth exercise is nothing but like you go to answer. Okay, you got questions in passé composé. You got to answer them in negation. Okay, you got to use negation in this. So tu as écrit sur les murs. Okay, the first question, tu as écrit sur les murs. You wrote on the walls, or like you scribbled on the walls. They start with no, right? So you got to answer like you scribbled on the wall, you wrote on the wall. So you got to say like, no, I did not write on the walls. Okay, no, I did not write. So the subject changes. When it's in second person in the question, we change it to first person. Okay, so no, je n'ai pas écrit sur les murs. Je n'ai pas écrit sur les murs. So when you're conjugating in negation, in passé composé negation, so the ne and pas will be placed before and after the auxiliary verb. Okay, so je, J-E, N apostrophe, A-I, P-A-S. Okay, then comes the past participle écrit. Okay. So the second one, Lucien Ambroise a dessiné au tableau. Lucien Ambroise drawn. Okay, so like drew at the board. So no, Lucien Ambroise n'a pas dessiné au tableau. Okay, so did not draw, or N apostrophe before A and pas after A, the verb avoir. Then comes dessiner au tableau. Okay, so the third one, il a fait une promenade. Okay, so il a fait une promenade. He went for a walk. No, il n'a pas fait de promenade. Il n'a pas fait de promenade. So win changes to the. As you know, in negation, un win de changes to the. Il n'a pas fait de promenade. So the last before one, ils ont mangé dans la salle de classe. Okay, so now mind just the first sentence, it's in second person, you got to change it to first person. Okay, all the other are in third person, either singular or plural. Ils ont mangé dans la salle de classe. They ate in the classroom. Okay, so they ate in the classroom. Ils n'ont pas mangé. No, ils n'ont pas mangé. N apostrophe O-N-T, P-A-S. Then comes manger dans la salle de classe. No, they did not eat in the classroom. So the last one. Elles ont donné un cadeau aux nouveaux mariés. Okay, they gave a gift to the newly married. Okay, no, elles n'ont pas donné. They did not give. Elles n'ont pas donné. And changes to the. Don't forget, and changes to the. De cadeau aux nouveaux mariés. So they did not give any gift to the newly married. So now we'll see the answers. Sure. So careful, for the first answer, you change it to je. Then for third and last one, okay, the and win changes to the. Non, je n'ai pas écrit sur les murs. Non, il n'a pas dessiné au tableau. Non, il n'a pas fait de promenade. Non, ils n'ont pas mangé dans la salle de classe. Non, elles n'ont pas donné de cadeaux aux nouveaux mariés. Okay, so hope it's fine. So if you have finished writing your classwork, if you're writing your classwork, even if it's one lesson, okay, if you have finished writing the exercises neatly, okay, you can send me a picture. Okay, you can take a picture of your notebook and you can send it to me via WhatsApp, and I'll send it to the group so that the others, they'll check your notes and they'll write, okay, without any doubts. So thank you guys so much. So please take care. Bye bye.